At Team Toyota, they've been selling and servicing new and used Toyotas in your community for over 50 years. And you can reserve your next new Toyota with them today. You'll get a realistic timeline, and even in this crazy market, they won't charge you over MSRP. Or don't wait at all. With over 75 certified Toyotas, including a bunch of RAV4 and Highlanders, you can drive one home today. And you can always trust them to maintain your current vehicle. Their service and collision centers are high-tech, comfortable, and will save you time and money. Team Toyota can help you go anywhere you want, but they'll always be your hometown team. Just visit teamtoyota.net and choose from 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. It's Corey Simon and Jim Salisbury here with you on a Monday morning to talk about those red-hot Phillies who, even after losing Sunday's series finale in D.C., took 4 of 5 from the Nationals and are 15-3 in this month of June. Jim, they've cut the gap in the division to 8 games. Still a lot of baseball to be played. And in the wild card race, the Phillies are 2.5 behind the Braves for that final spot. So things are trending up. However, there were a few worrisome signs Sunday, I guess most notably Zach Eflin. Let's start there.
Yeah. Let's look at the big picture. As you mentioned, I'll get to Eflin. You go 15-3 to start June. That's just absolutely spectacular. It's beyond awesome, right? And you're still looking at an 8-game deficit. It tells you how good the division has been above you with the Mets and Braves still playing great ball. It's got to be a little sobering to go 15-3 and only shave. What did they shave? 4 games off it. I think it was 12.5. So maybe a little more than 4 games. But I honestly think you just can't look at the standings. You just got to kind of take care of your dugout and your clubhouse and that your own performance and just keep playing and just look up at the end and see where you are. So I think they've done a really good job at that. Thompson's been tremendous in Rob Thompson in getting his message to the clubhouse. I mean, he takes over. They were 8 under 500, and he told them, let's just focus on day to day and get to 500. Well, they got to 500, and they got there quickly. And then he said, once we get to 500, let's look at getting to 5 over 500. Well, they got there, and they got there pretty quickly. They got there on Saturday. So I think they're 4 games over now after Sunday's loss. So. It was a great series, taking 4 or 5. I mean, any 5-game series, I mean, they're exhausting. And I don't care what opponent you're playing. It's tough to rack up 4 wins in a series. But, they went out and did it against Washington. I thought Sunday was a big letdown in a lot of ways. And I don't mean to sound overcritical because, you won 4 out of 5, and that's a great accomplishment. But, I think some things were going on in that series. One, they were playing a vastly inferior team. And I think that helped because I didn't think the Phillies played a great series. They blew a late lead and rallied for a win. It was kind of the series where, you're playing a bad team and everything is going right for you, for the Phillies. Everything they touch turns to gold. And you're kind of in this stage where you're winning games that you wouldn't have won previously. And there were a couple of those games in this series. And that happens when you've built a winning chemistry that you never feel like you're out of it. You always feel like you can overcome it. You always feel like you're one big play or one big hit away from winning that ball game, even when you're trailing late. And that's what happened. So, I mean, hats off to them. They've built this winning mindset where they feel that they can overcome adversity. And there was plenty of adversity in this series. Their performance in one of the games with runners in scoring position was absolutely dreadful. I mean, there were 2 games there in Washington where they had bases loaded and no outs and didn't get a run home. They went down 1, 2, 3, and those after getting the bases loaded. I mean, just really unacceptable for a team that wants to try to go to the postseason. The defense was poor at times. I mean, it's not like last year when it was poor all the time, but I mean, it was poor in big spots. Gregorius made a very big error. Hoskins didn't give up the bag. And on Sunday, there was a ball that Castellanos did not get to in right field that cost them a run. extended an inning, put a burden on your pitching staff. So, things were not great. But again, it's about the bottom line. It's about winning ball games, and they're doing that. Apologize for being long-winded. Getting to your initial question on Zach Eflin, that was another, thing that on Sunday that gives you a little bit of pause. I thought that put a damper on the day, and I didn't mean to sound like Debbie Downer. You win 4 games, you lose 1, and the sky is falling. But one of the things you really like about this team is the starting rotation. Entering Sunday, 9th in the majors in ERA, second in innings, but it only goes 5 deep. It's Wheeler, Nola. How about Nola? He's pitching great. Eflin, Gibson, Suarez. Now, for the second start in a row on Sunday, Eflin is forced out of the game early because of a sore knee. A lot of kind of mystery surrounding this thing where during the week he was seen by doctors and cleared to pitch, and it wasn't the patella tendon, which was surgically repaired in September. Oh, he's okay. He's back on the mound. Now he's, leaving balls up in the zone. He's out of there after 2 innings, getting lit up. And then after the game, Rob Thompson says, well, we planned on just keeping him to 3 innings, and I didn't like what I saw after 2 innings, so we got him out of there. Turns out, he was less than 100%. A lot of questions. I don't know why you would send him to the mound being less than 100%. But, they did. He thought he could tough his way through it. He couldn't. How serious is this thing? It's not the patella tendon. It's a bruise. But, long story short, they don't know if he's going to make his next start on Saturday. They'll look at him Tuesday. And it just, to me, brings into focus, how important starting rotation is and how thin you are there and how you can't afford one breakdown. They have not missed a start due to an injury this season. They missed a couple, I think, because of COVID, but not because of an injury. And this just illustrates, again, how thin they are. Will they have to go to Bailey Falter on Saturday night? Every major league team needs those 6, 7, 8 starters, at some point. But Bailey Falter, I guess, would be their 6th. Christopher Sanchez could be in the mix. They're trying to stretch out Kent Emanuel at Reading. And David Dombrowski, I would think this just adds another concern to him going toward the trade deadline. I thought bullpen was probably going to be their focus. Now they might have to look at adding a starter because you don't know where Eflin is. You hope he's going to be fine. He says he's going to be fine, but until he's looking, on the mound looking like Zach Eflin, you just don't know. So, despite winning 4 out of 5, I didn't think it was even close to a perfect series with their level of play and with this injury concern on a very important player in Zach Eflin.
Well, one of the storylines of the Phillies' remaining schedule is that they might not have to play perfect baseball. They might not have to play up to their best because of these remaining 94 games they have, 51 of them are against the Nationals, Reds, Cubs, Pirates, Marlins, Rangers, and Diamondbacks. That was the first series the Phillies have had with the Nationals. They still have 14 games left against Washington, which has the second worst record in the majors, the worst record in the National League. This week was a good glimpse of why. In past seasons, the Phillies have played down to the level of competition, but during this run, that really hasn't been the case. In fact, after losing the 2 games at home to the Rangers about a month and a half ago, the Phillies have won 10 of their last 14 games against teams below 500. And that kind of factors in again this week as they go down to Texas to face those same Rangers again. The Phillies have been better against these bad teams. They may not have played up to their capabilities in Washington, but when you're facing a team like that, you don't need to all the time. They did enough to win 4 out of 5. And, as we're talking about the big picture, going into that series, if someone would have said, okay, the Phillies are going to win 4 out of 5, they would have taken it.
Absolutely. You always take that. I think you probably would have taken 3 out of 5. You just want to win series. But, I just don't think you approach any portion of your schedule saying, we're playing a crappy team. We don't need to play perfect baseball. That's a low standard. You want to go out there and play your best every night. When you're not getting to balls in the outfield, that's what got Joe Girardi fired. That 7-game trip where they didn't get to anything in the outfield got Joe Girardi fired. So as long as those issues are still there, you never know when they're going to go from minor to major. You got to put away ground balls in the ninth inning to win games. And sorry if it sounds a little greedy, but you can't be stranding bases loaded with no outs twice within a couple nights. And there was even a time they did it in the previous homestand. So there are still warts on this team, but they're racking up wins. They're playing better. That's the important thing. But I think you can always still strive to be better. There are areas where they need to be better. And I thought those areas definitely showed against the Nationals. But the important thing is they're winning.
They almost did not win that Aaron Nola game. It was another exceptional start from Nola, and they've wasted several of those early in the season. But, Nola, 8 innings there, another just excellent night from Nola, who has bounced back in 2022. He's made 14 starts this season, and in 7 of them, he's gone at least 7 innings. In 8 of them, he's allowed 2 runs or fewer. In 9 of them, he's allowed less than a base runner per inning. He's been locked in, and he's been avoiding that one big inning that has plagued him in seasons past, that, big 3-run homer after he had been cruising, for the previous 90 minutes. And it's allowed Aaron Nola to kind of look like the old Aaron Nola with a low 3s ERA, really a number 1/number 2 starter. That's what he's been for the majority of this season.
He has been tremendous. And I think we overlook how durable this guy is. He takes the ball all the time. He has a clunker now and then. Who doesn't? But, he takes the ball all the time, takes you deep into the game. I don't think he's walked a batter. He walked one intentionally. I'm sorry. The other day in Washington, but I don't think he's had a conventional walk in 5 starts, like 130 batters. That's amazing. That's amazing, especially when you're coupling it with high strikeouts. And he's not getting his strikeouts by blowing guys away. He's getting his strikeouts by pitching, get ahead, make pitches. I mean, he's in an era when guys are up here riding that fastball. I mean, he's got to get that success down in the zone, and he seems to be getting it lately. He's getting movement 2 ways. He's got that, he throws his sinker when he has to. He got the sweeping breaking ball, and the changeup has been good. So he's getting, movement down in the zone, getting ahead, forcing guys to chase on some of that off-speed stuff. And then when he needs to kind of ride you upstairs, he has that. I love watching Aaron Nola pitch because he's a pitcher. He's not a thrower. He's a pitcher. Does he make an occasional mistake? Yeah, who doesn't? And it just seems like those mistakes for the last year and a half have really, really bitten him more than other guys. But he is on a great roll here. And when he's on a great roll, it's a thing of beauty because he's a 100% pitcher. And it's just the control is just amazing. And it's also amazing they don't give him a lot of run support. I think there's been 4 starts this year where they haven't scored a run while he's in the game. And then the other day in Washington, they score him 1 run. And then they give up that lead. Rob Thompson goes to Seranthony for a difficult pocket of the lineup, completely understandable there. And then Brad Hand can't lock it down in the 9th. That's a game they lose last year. That's a game they lose in 2020 because the bullpen just killed them. Bullpen killed them in 21. And honestly, that's a game they lose during the first 2 months of the season. But we talked about when things are going good, there's such a positive mental vibe that we can overcome anything. They went out there and they did it to win that ball game. Aaron Nola didn't figure in it. Yairo Munoz hit a big home run. Him and Nola could have been like co-stars on the marquee, but it doesn't matter. As Aaron Nola said, and the guy is just a phenomenal team guy. Never lets anything bother him. And as he said after the game, it's okay. As long as we win the game, that's all I care about.
Well, in talking about how in previous seasons the Phillies probably lose that game, look at how Seranthony Dominguez closed it out. He comes in with a runner on second base to begin extra innings, so there's a runner on second, nobody out. The Phillies had just stranded, the bases loaded, only getting 1 across to, they didn't get an insurance run. So
there you go again, the bases loaded.
Yeah, so Dominguez comes into the tightest of spots there and goes 1-2-3 against the Nationals to pick up the save. As locked in as Aaron Nola has been, Seranthony Dominguez has been the same. Since early May, his last 17 appearances, he's allowed just 1 run. His whip is .78. Nobody's hitting him. The game on Sunday, every sinker he threw was 99 miles per hour or harder. There was one that was clocked at 94, but I don't think that was a sinker. That looked more like a slider, which has reduced velocity for him. But he just looks electric. He looks even better than he did in 2018 when he busted out. And you just wonder, has he cemented himself as the closer? Is there a way Corey Knebel can win this job back?
Yeah, he's gotten better. He's healthy. I mean, what he's doing is remarkable for a guy who's missed, the better parts of 3 seasons. He was great that first year he came up with, power four-seamer, slider. He's developed more command on the slider, and he's added that sinker that is power with movement. My gosh, I mean, what a combination, power with movement. I mean, he was 99.7. That's 100 in my mind. Threw 9 pitches and closing that baby out. 3 fly balls to Kyle Schwarber trying to win a Gold Glove in 1 inning, but he put them all away. So, yeah, Seranthony was dominant and confident. I mean, he looks like a totally different guy to me in the last few years. He was kind of an uneasy kid when he came up with a big arm, and he let his arm do the talking. But, he's gotten in such better shape, down like 30-plus pounds. He looks ready to rumble. He looks like he's learned to pitch a little bit by adding that sink to his fastball. He looks confident, looks happier. He smiles more. He just seems more at ease, and in a good positive mental state. And I think that's kind of maybe helping his performance a lot. And I do think it's time to put him in the closer's role. And I think in this day and age, managers have to be really careful with egos. And I think Rob Thompson's really good with that. And I think and Joe even practiced this stuff. You don't want to come out and say, I've demoted this guy. He's Corey Knebel. Hey, we want to get him in a little lower leverage, give him a chance to breathe, work his way back there. That's kind of the way they phrased that. So I asked after that game on Saturday if it was time to elevate Seranthony to closer. And, Rob said, we haven't discussed it. We're still comfortable with the way things going. But to me, that's, manager speak. With Seranthony didn't pitch Sunday. He'll have Monday off. I really think Tuesday night in Texas, if there's a save chance, actions speak louder than words. All of a sudden you go from we haven't really discussed it to we're going to stick with the committee. All of a sudden now Seranthony's out there blowing cheese. I could see him ascending to this spot in their bullpen as closer, but I also understand that, the modern manager has to tiptoe around egos a little bit, show respect to everybody, maybe can't come out and, forcibly say, this guy is our closer. So, because he's trying to keep everybody part of it, needs to keep everybody ready to help. And again, we see what maybe the mind is doing for Seranthony and helping him pitch so well. You need to get everybody in a positive state so they can help you. But I would pay attention to actions, and I think maybe the actions would dictate that Seranthony will be closing out more games here. But they'll be careful with him. He's missed most of 3 seasons coming off of Tommy John. You don't want to blow him up, so they'll watch his pitch counts pretty good. If he has a high number, I think they'll even watch him on the second day. Maybe hold him back the second day, and if he goes 2 in a row, he's definitely not going to go 3 in a row. But you're right. He's been phenomenal. He's a real bright spot.
Bryce Harper, Jim, is dealing with this blister. He missed 2 straight games, Saturday and Sunday, with it. It's hard to hit when you have a blister. I mean, I can just recall, like, as a young baseball player growing up in high school, I would consistently get blisters on both sides of my thumbs, no matter if I was taking batting practice for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever. So many times that I have scars, permanent scars on both sides of both of my thumbs from it. So, I mean, I wasn't a major league player, but sure, remember how painful that could be, how much it affects your swing. What are the Phillies looking at timeline-wise? Could Harper start Tuesday, or is he still just available off the bench? Are they going to give this a few more days? What does it sound like?
Well, he was available off the bench in that second game Friday night, had that big hit, but it was bothering him to the point where it swelled up after that game. And he was, when the dust settled, I mean, they don't give, they're not going to answer your questions before the game. And I can assure you these questions are asked. Is Bryce available for pinch hitting tonight? We'll see. We're monitoring it. It depends how he's progressing. Well, it turns out once the dust settled and you don't have to hide your strategy from, Davey Martinez, he wasn't available. He couldn't even swing. This thing swelled up on him. Talked to him Sunday. He said actually the blister is healed. Now it's an infection underneath. So he's being treated with an antibiotic. It's moving in the right direction. Monday's off day will help. Full day Tuesday should help. And I would imagine it'll be like a game time decision or close to it, or batting practice time decision on Tuesday. He wants to get back out there, but they got to wait till it runs its course, this infection. And so we'll see more Tuesday. I don't think it's going to keep him out long term, but because it is kind of moving in the right direction. But so Tuesday would be iffy, maybe, maybe not. And maybe, at some point in this week, we'll see him. I mean, they really need him. He's been productive all year, and he's been super productive here in this month of June, especially with Schwarber and Rhys Hoskins really turning it on here in the month of June, producing runs, getting on base. I mean, you really need Harper in that 3-hole to, clear him out and do some damage. So I don't get to feel that it's long term, but I do get to feel that it's really hampered him the last few days, or else he would be in there. So we'll keep an eye on it Tuesday. Maybe he'll be in there, maybe he won't. It's one of those things that they're going to review on Tuesday, along with the condition of Eflin's knee. So there'll probably be some medical updates on Tuesday.
Well, the Phils are hoping to get Harper back in the lineup so they can keep this train rolling. They're now up to 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 4th in home runs, 5th in OPS to begin the weekend at 36 and 32. They are 2.5 games out of that final wild card spot with 94 to play. So big week for the Phils against the Rangers and the San Diego Padres. That's a very good Padres team that the Phillies saw last month, and they've continued their winning ways in the time since. So thanks a lot for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast. He's Jim Salisbury. I'm Corey Seibin. We will talk later in the week.